Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in the West Coast region on Sunday ambushed 2 motorbikes suspected with drug crimes. What is understood as undercover operation was launched in the outskirts of Bijaran, a border village with southern Senegal. Drug enforcement officers impounded 2 motorcycles fully loaded with 181 bundles and some quantities of suspected cannabis sativa. More on this report by Binta Jallo.
This operation stemmed from a similar interception of suspected drugs last week by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in what appears as a first fight against illicit drug and trafficking in the Gambia. The undercover method is usually the final resort to hold major players in the drug trafficking web accountable for choosing the opposite side of the law. The one done over the weekend resulted to interception of what is suspected as cannabis sativa bound for further peddling or consumption in the Gambia. Although from the southern Senegal, it was not established as to the source of the suspected drug and from whom it was packed. One of the motorcycles failed to display a valid registration number, while the other don't have any legal identity at the moment of their arrest. Both suspects are currently at large, while investigators probing into the matter are closely working with the police to establish ownership of the motorbikes. The Drug Demand Reduction Officer NCA3 Lamin K. Bojang said the agency is not just stopping at the arresting stage, as their efforts are being supplemented with training of health workers to help rehabilitate victims of drug.
Them are only after the monetary part of it. There are some pushermen, like we call them pushermen, people who are involved in these things. They don't even smoke cannabis. They only sell it to have money. So they entice young people, lure them into using it until they get addicted. And once they get addicted, they cannot easily quit. So if once you get addicted to these drugs, to quit is not an easy thing. You need an assistance from a rehabilitation center, from qualified personnel to help you. Right now, there are people that Drug Law Enforcement Agency have trained together with mental health unit of the Medical and Health Services and some social workers from the social welfare. They've done a 1-year training on addiction to serve as addiction professionals. But we are planning to have a rehabilitation center where young people that are addicted to drugs will be taken into and then assisted so that by the time they come out, they will be able to fully, forget about drug abuse and so on and then concentrate on something meaningful.
NCA3 Jobate advised youth to stay away from drugs, urging them to engage in something more meaningful than taking the risk in drug.
The advice I want to give to the young people of this country is that we can live without drugs and we can be successful without drugs. We can enjoy our lives without drugs. So what I want to tell them is, let us just turn our backs towards just cannabis and related activities, drugs in general.
On the issue of disposal of the drugs seized from dealers, Jobate had this to say.
That's just an assumption by people who don't know. I think the best thing they should have done is to inquire from Drug Law Enforcement Agency what happened to these drugs. Now, these drugs, what happened to them is very simple, because they move from one state to the other. Like if drugs are arrested, they are with they are under the custody of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. But once the matter is taken to court, because these are substances that you need to present in court at least to substantiate your claims against the individual. So once it is at the court, it is under the custody of the court. So when the case is finally decided, court will hand the substance back to Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Then we will keep it. Then at the end of the year, cases that have been decided and concluded by the court, a day is selected when we invite the general public, and the day is called Drug Destruction Day. We usually invite the media, both print and electronic, the general public, diplomats that are in this country, and the general public to come and see the destruction. And before we destroy these drugs, we also test them on the ground to prove that they are drugs. Because we don't want to gather people and say, this is cannabis, we're going to destroy it. We destroy it like that. No, we have a scientific unit that comes on the ground. They will test these drugs on the ground to confirm, yes, this is cannabis sativa. It is tested and confirmed that one is packed. This is suspected cocaine. It is tested and confirmed it is cocaine. This is heroin. It is tested and confirmed. Then they are destroyed in the presence of everybody.
These substances pose serious threats to development and security in West Africa, according to experts. In order to cope this menace, the Gambia's Drug Law Agency has vowed to leave no stone unturned, including the management of stakeholders in the supply suppression front. It is, however, grappling with challenges in terms of mobility and civic engagement, among others. For iAfrica News, Binti Jallo.